Welcome, Pisces, to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 2nd of March for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. I'm going to share with you the big themes of the week to begin with. Then on screen, unpack your adventure on Monday. That always provides an influential backdrop for the whole week. I'll then go through each of the key influences frame by frame to give you a clear picture of what this week holds for you in terms of relationships, energy, work, and also money. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, please do so now and help it to continue to thrive. On Monday, Pisces, Mars burst into your zodiac sign for a 6-week stay. That's really exciting. Can't wait to share that with you. On Tuesday, however, we have a total lunar eclipse in your opposite sign of Virgo, an earthly sign, of course, which provides a very dynamic backdrop for us all collectively for the next 6 months. What does that mean for you? At the heart of the week, a developing aspect between your traditional ruler of Jupiter and the sun in your sign really is exciting. But at the end of the week, Venus, the planet of love and money, moves into a part of your chart which usually can trigger an increase in earnings. But it does meet your modern aquatic ruler of Neptune, which can create sensitivities, but also the really cool energies of Saturn. What does that mean? On the screen is your event chart right at the start of the week. There's your traditional ruler Jupiter, still in the glorious fifth house, which can be very demonstrative and creative. And it is still in retrograde. It goes direct on the 11th of March. Please look out for my in-depth deep dive for that for Pisces when that happens. Also, your other ruler, Neptune, very close to Saturn in the part of your chart to do with life's foundation, your values, your sense of self-worth, but also everyday money. But also on Monday, early in the day, Mars, preparing to move into your zodiac sign, is just coming out of that crunch in right angle to Uranus, which peaked last Friday. And for you, that may have seen you over the weekend or even at the very start of this week, it may have seen some very, very turbulent energies coming up. Maybe a sense of injustice, maybe if your ideas don't seem to chime with other people, or it could be that any deep issues which have really been locked away within you for a very long time could be just provoked to come into the open or have just been as last week came to a close. But as we come into the week, the moon joins in with that square. So Uranus provides a T square between the position of the moon, Mars, and Uranus. You're talking about really intense energy early on Monday. So, what I can tell you is that Mercury continues its retrograde in your sign through to March the 20th. So, something that's important to you could be a bit stop start in the interim. You do have Venus, however, in your sign, exalted. That's lovely. If you have been wanting to change your personal image recently, you may have been choosing some different clothes to wear. You may have given yourself some kind of glamorous makeover. But Venus actually forges a brilliant link to Uranus. So it's possible that if you take the initiative, the first house, Venus's connection to Uranus means you could have a sizzling conversation this week, or a dazzling connection, or your ability to think creatively can be amplified in a very positive way. And Pisces people can often be brilliant at art, music, writing, all those things can be animated by that particular aspect. So that's the energy at the start of the week. So Mars moves on Monday later in the day to your sign. So in technical astrology, Mars in Pisces is said to be in Peregrine, so it doesn't forge any connections in terms of essential dignity. So it's a bit lost. But I want you to think of it like this. Even if the water of your sign can bog Mars's thrust down a bit, it's going to be so much better than it has been over the last 6 weeks when your emotions may have been up and down in some quite surprising ways. So if you have been feeling triggered, I feel that you can feel more self-possessed, you can move into the moment, your physical energy will improve, your focus will improve, you'll feel less scattered and less emotional. But we do also have on Tuesday that potent total lunar eclipse in Virgo. So the moon moves forwards, it goes to 12 degrees in your seventh house of relating, opposite the sun, which will have moved forwards in your sign to 12 degrees. So we've been going through a series of eclipses between Pisces and Virgo since the 18th of December 2024. The first one was in your sign. And that whole journey is about balancing what you need to be as an individual with how you connect to others, but connecting to others in a way where you don't lose your identity, but you also have fulfilling relationships. Now, we know the host, Virgo, can be very dry. It is looking at the details and it likes things to be neat and tidy. So perhaps what you're wanting from your relationships over the next 6 months is not too much drama. But Mars moving into your sign and out of the 12th house can dim off the dramas that may have been more apparent of late. But getting a balance between the ins and outs, you feeling fulfilled as an individual, but also feeling that your connections to others are working well. That's the trick of that eclipse over the next half year. But as the week goes on, the sun moves forwards and comes into a trine with your traditional ruler, Jupiter. And because of that, you have a mutual receptivity. Jupiter is also exalted, like Venus, in Cancer, another water sign. So the water energy is flowing lovely, but they're both in fire houses. One is initiation. Five is really turning up the volume on your talent and being truly charismatic. By the end of this week, you can do that. It's just with Mercury in that retrograde, watch the detail. With Mars in your sign, don't try to go too quickly. However, by the end of the week, Venus does move into the second house. Now, technically, Venus in Aries is in detriment. Do you know, Venus in Aries, I actually really always like people that I read for when I do readings who have that because they're people who have a desire and they take action to get it. It's go for it. You know, Venus, just because it is the ruler of Libra, which can be more about delicate harmony, doesn't mean to say we can't use the charm and the drive and the passion of Aries in a positive way. It's just for you because your modern aquatic ruler initially greets at Venus. You may be in the mind of converting a brilliant idea into something more tangible, then could find yourself doubting it at the end of the week. Perhaps because it's not quite imaginatively right, or perhaps almost on the back of that, it's not quite physically right. But don't be too harsh. It's important to understand that Venus will move past those really quite quickly. And over the next 4 weeks, you do have a chance to increase income, but also you'll have a chance to enjoy the good things in life. And if you are someone who really does like good food and good wine, you may find that your resistance to those falls to an all-time low. But then perhaps that's what Saturn's going to teach you over the next couple of years, is to try and be a bit more choosy about what you eat and drink. But I would say if there is someone you're attracted to this week, and that Sun Jupiter trine and that Venus Uranus sextile suggests you could encounter someone you really like, don't try too hard to work out what it's about or try to quantify it based on what you immediately see. Because you're a very perceptive person, you need to tease out into the open maybe some deeper strands. So if someone doesn't on the surface seem to have exactly the same kind of values as you, be patient with it. They may actually have qualities that are not obvious that can be something you really do respect given time. So it would be easy at the end of this week, if you do meet someone earlier in the week, to suddenly think, no, I don't like the way they dress, or they've got certain attitudes that don't quite chime with me. And you can actually take away an opportunity to really grow that connection before it's even really got going. But I think when it comes to your resources, you are being asked to just be a little more conservative at the end of the week, but you will get the chance to improve things once we get through the end of this week and through a few more days into the week following this one. To understand what March holds for you in detail, Pisces, please click on the March deep dive. To understand what the next 6 months holds for you with the lunar eclipse, please click on that video. And if you would like to have a one-to-one with me, please check out my testimonials below. You can also take advantage of my unique offer of your personal forecast and life roadmap report, totally unique to you. And at the checkout, please apply Astro 26 and you'll get 50% off. If you'd like to understand more about the draconic version of those charts, very much to do with your soul karmic journey, please apply Draco 26 at the checkout.